Well, hello everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. It's been a while, but we're back today, and as you can see, I'm not alone today. I'm here today with Alex Hutchinson, vehicle designer or vehicle handling developer, that's the proper title, and Jeff Chardon, producer of Sector 3 Studios. And we're gonna do some ranked multiplayer racing today, and while we're doing that, we're gonna answer some questions. So if you have any questions, be it about the newly released DTM cars or anything at all, then just type it here in the chat, and I will try to follow the chat, and so will the other guys, and we will try to answer all your questions. So hello everybody in the chat: Scout, Barbecue Man, Simone, Ziggy, RWB, Tormentor, Kevin, everybody. Hope you're doing fine. I hope I have the audio figured out here, because we have like Skype calls going on and stuff like that, but I hope you can hear me okay and you can hear the other guys okay.
1 2 test. 1 2 test.
Yeah, mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
So, how you guys doing? Are you glad it's Friday?
Oh yeah, always glad it's Friday. Always glad it's Friday.
Okay, chat seems to hear you loud and clear. That's great.
Finally get to see how JF looks. Alright. I hope you're not disappointed.
Well, you guys know them, of course, from the Discord, from the forum, and of course from their famous Twitch and YouTube channels. I have put a link to their channels in the description, actually, if you want to follow Alex on YouTube. He's uploading some dev test drivings and stuff like that, and also the Twitch of JF. JF and Alex have an echo. Okay, then let me see.
Is it my fault?
How is it now? Is it better now? I muted the Skype source and only have the desktop audio. I think it's better now.
Hello. Now I stopped my car. I'm getting incident points. I think it's a plot.
It's better. Okay, perfect.
Cool.
So for me, is that still okay for me? Just whilst if we're doing that, let's do that. Is that okay, or?
It should be. It should be. Alright guys, if you want to join us on Ranked, then hop on the multiplayer.
You have 5 minutes to join.
You can filter for the Ranked servers, and then we are on the DTM Europe server. You will need 75 reputation though, but I'm sure you guys all have that. Only the best drivers here on this channel.
Everyone who follows you on YouTube should have 75.
Yeah, of course.
Learning from the best.
They're asking where you're at, Alex. Is it a shed or your farmyard?
This is let's say it's upstairs in the race shop. So actually downstairs is pretty cool. There is a race car downstairs, so it's quite a good place to be for developing stuff. It's plenty of things to draw inspiration on. There's some big bits of carbon fiber around me and stuff like that. So it's sort of an action place.
What race car is it? Is it your Mazda or?
Yeah, it's my race car.
Awesome.
Maybe if someone asks nicely, maybe I can do a little show around a bit later on if anyone's interested. I can always pick this laptop up and point and do things. If the guys would like to see that, I don't know.
I'm sure people would love to see that. And like I said, I put a link to your YouTube channel in the description, Alex's YouTube channel. Make sure you give him a follow there as well. I've seen the first question actually already. If we're gonna add, I thought it was a split screen. No, but he's asking about Slipstream. Slipstream is already in the simulation. That is already, it's been there from the beginning actually.
Yeah, for sure. It's in more than just one way. So if you're slipstreaming in another car, obviously you can gain some speed when you're following them, but also depending on which car you're driving, they lose downforce as well. So like a single seater with a big front wing, you lose a lot of downforce at the front. That's in game. But with like a GT3 where the wing at the back is the most susceptible to that sort of thing, it's mostly the wing at the rear that loses the downforce there. But yeah, for sure, it is there. You need to follow cars more closely though to feel the effect.
And they're also asking when's your Mazda going to be in game.
That's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah. Maybe Jeff can spill some beans today about future content, or maybe not. We will see.
I can't.
People wanna see super trucks. That's a weird one.
Super trucks.
Is it
I
those
knew about
that-
truck racing, but what's the difference between
I
truck
think
racing and
that's
super
the
trucks?
super trucks that have built-in jumps in the tracks and stuff like that. You know, I think they're a support class of the V8 supercars. If that's the right cars I'm thinking of. Those are kind of spectacular. It's actually weird that you guys say you can't feel a slipstream, because I always thought it was a little bit, maybe on the exaggerated side.
You know what's the best place to test the slipstream? You go Daytona, the oval, not supported, and you follow another guy there. And you would be convinced that we not only have slipstream, we also have bump drafting, and the guy that you're following also benefits from you pushing him, even though you're not touching him.
In fact, wasn't something like that our last series of streams? Didn't we?
Yeah, we had
streamed that, right? We got
we had a
together and-
Friday race, yes, on Daytona. Every Friday we try and have a fun race with the Sector 3 gang, and one of them was Daytona Oval. It was quite fun.
I remember the oval race we did. Was it in the GT3 cars, or was it? Yeah, or was it?
I think it was Ford Mustang.
Yeah. That was awesome. All right, I think I need to start. When is the qualifying starting? You'll tell me,
In
Jeff.
30
yeah?
seconds.
Okay. I'll switch over to the gameplay then.
I haven't stopped driving because I need the practice. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Okay, I'm going to opt out at this point of the driving. I'm going to stay in the chat. But,
Yeah. Cool.
The reason is I don't have any monitors at the minute, so I can drive with this one screen on the laptop, which is okay. But anything else, yeah, I just imagine the crash best with very bad visibility.
Didn't get a lot of practice. Straight into quali. So, as you guys know, DTM 2020 is out now, and I think those are super cool cars, and they are quite different from the last cars we had from DTM in 2016, aren't they, Alex? Well, can you tell us maybe a little bit about what's new, what's different with these cars compared to the older ones?
Well, first of all, I was not involved in the old ones, so I've had to kind of like retrospectively learn what was different about them, which was some sort of learning exercise. So the turbocharged engines, that's the big thing, that they went away from these really revvy V8s that they had for like donkey's years, since the early 2000s, really, didn't they? And then they downsized to this 2-litre single turbo, which has got a heck of a load of torque, like a completely different kind of engine. So like that's one of the big things to contend with, just the power delivery is so different. Like with something that's revvy, it can be a bit smoother and a bit easier to get, particularly out of the slope corners. But with something that's turbocharged and small, it's quite a puncher. So coming out the slow stuff, it's got a kick. And also because it's turbocharged, it's not quite instant. So there's a little bit of sort of guesswork until you've really got your head into it. And then with regards to the chassis stuff, they brought some regulations in to try to slow the cars down a bit and make them a little bit cheaper to run. So there was stuff that happened with the suspension that basically meant that they're not allowed to spend, or they're not able to spend so much money on it because it's been simplified. But because they still have a lot of downforce, it's very, very stiff suspension, even compared to how it used to be. So that's another thing that can make it like sort of tricky, because it's quite a lot like a roller skate, really. It's not so forgiving with the suspension. I mean, it is what it is. And then with regards to the downforce, it dropped just a little bit compared to 2016, but it's still a big number. It's like if you compare it to GT3, it's got basically twice the downforce. So and weight-wise, they're like 250, 300 kilos lighter. So like the GT3 is obviously always the yardstick because it's the most popular car and they're the most used cars. So always compare everything to the GT3s. But really, when you jump from one to the other, and you take away the drive rates and stuff like that the GT3s have, it's quite a different sort of challenge.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different animal. But I would say it's more fun to drive them if you manage to find the limit and control them on the limit, which obviously takes a little bit more practice than doing it in the GT3s. They're a little bit easier, the GT3s. But once you figure them out, I think it's a lot of fun.
Not sure if you mentioned it, Alex, but one of the things that might surprise people when they come from older DTM or the GT3 is that you start with cold tires. That's actually a DTM regulation.
Oh yeah, the cold tires
that's quite a big factor in the handling. Like first contact with the car might be like, whoa, what's happening? But you need to take care of those tires and warm them up.
Oh yeah, for sure. I forgot. They bought that in 2017, maybe something like that. Was it the year after the last cars that we had? They had tyre warmers.
Yeah.
Still, I believe.
I mean, if someone comes from DTM 2016 cars in RaceRoom and jumps into this, might not expect that the tires are cold. So it's good to mention it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And they can take a lap or two to get hot, like we said that. We've mentioned that already. I've seen a few comments and I've advised a few people, just give it some laps just to let everything get going. And even if you just like watch some DTM racing on TV, like you watch the live streams when they have their practices and stuff like that, and those guys are like tippy-toeing around for at least the first 2 laps. So we've got some of that going on.
Yeah, it's a huge factor in real DTM. When people come out of the pit lane after the pit stop, it takes them like forever to get the tires up to temperature, and they lose out big time, like a couple of seconds per lap. So, what does it involve to make a handling for a car like the DTM? I suppose you got lots of data that goes into your spreadsheets into your magic spreadsheets.
Oh yes. Yeah. So the series organisers are honestly some of the very best that we've been involved in, like in terms of what they've come back at us with. So I have like basically a questionnaire that I like them to fill in, just sort of detailing different parameters and yes and no answers to various things, and like, can you put a number on this? And like, it's an unrealistic expectation that they're going to answer everything basically, because there are so many questions. But that's kind of the idea. If I ask 10 questions, then I might get like 6 answers. But if I ask 100 questions, then I might get 60. So you've got more to work with. That's the kind of logic there. But anyway, these guys came back, and they came back with so much. It was like unreal. It was like everything that I could possibly wish to know, and the contact details for all the right people. But where does it start? Well, that's an interesting one. It actually started. Well, I remember when I was at university, we went through this thing where we basically designed a race car from scratch. And the first thing that you do is you figure out like what size tyres you're going to run, and then you design the suspension. So I did just that, and DTM had basically told me like all the really important numbers about the suspension. So I just made it do that, made it match. And so that was not like particularly hard to figure out. It was just really nice that there was just like something really solid to aim for. And then, so when I say design suspension, this is like when the wheels are moving up and down, like the camber is actually changing. So what you set the camber in the game, in the garage screen, it might be like 3 degrees, 3.5 degrees. When the wheel actually moves up, that might change to 4 degrees. But because the body of the car is rolling a little bit, the tyre isn't at 4 degrees, it's just something else. So the suspension is designed to like try to keep the optimum camber angle all the time when the car's rolling and the nose is diving and all this sort of thing. And basically the guys at DTM had told me like what happens and like how it behaves. So I made a carbon copy of that, which is really nice.
Awesome.
Because that's something that can really like take a lot of figuring out. And then like moving on from that, they sent through a lot of aero data. So I think I'm one of the very few people that knows like exactly how much downforce and exactly how much drag a DTM car has got, and I've basically signed a contract in blood like for them to tell me that. And then we have engine dyno sheets, so I know exactly how much power and how much torque these engines are producing, which is interesting in itself, because if you Google it, then the numbers that like come up on car websites and like official and sort of unofficial reports on the cars are like fairly different to what the actual numbers are, but that's not something unusual. That's like what you see as official numbers, or what might be produced as official numbers on various websites and things, are usually not right, to be honest. Which is...
I completely missed my start.
Oh man!
I was too busy listening to you.
Launch control, quick! You can save it. No?
Yeah. Let's see if I can get some positions back here. Did you have any interactions with real drivers about the physics as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one or two drivers. The last guy that we had contact with, and the driver that we had like the most contact with, was Sheldon van der Linde. And I also have one or two of the drivers on WhatsApp as well, which has been quite nice to just WhatsApp questions, just sort of whenever. And that's something that comes about because of the esports series that we organised with them earlier this year.
Right.
And I just kind of got in some of their circles, which was nice, because it's, you know, just sort of want to know a little thing, and I can quite quickly get an answer in 5 minutes. So I'm just going to scan through the chat, see if there are any questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Be careful that if the real drivers are entering the esports, they might try to make the cars behave like for them. So take their feedback with a pinch of salt.
Okay, so someone says, guys, you finally managed to make RaceRoom feel good on SimCube, and he says thank you. And I just say to him that it's not over yet, because right here is a SimCube that I've just got set up. So there's more to come in that direction for sure.
Should show the monitor as well.
Here's my lovely monitor.
When is that being delivered? Your monitor?
Last Monday.
Okay.
I'm not best friends with Amazon at the minute. Okay, so how is the racing on these cars? Someone wants to know about Super GT, but everyone wants to know if we're going to do Super GT. I think that's...
I think we definitely want. It would be nice, but there is no direct plan at the moment. But there are some feelers being sent around, so it might happen. not as the series, not that the official series. What you are likely to see is more like 1 or 2 cars licensed on the side, rather than the full series.
That'd be so cool. That would be really cool. And of course, the cars are not too dissimilar. They're both Class 1 cars, the DTM
Yeah.
and the Super
I mean,
GT.
ideally, we would be able to balance them together so that you can race both classes together.
Yeah, I'm sure we could do a better job than the organisers did last year. Where did you see that last? Like they were kind of fairly close in performance in the dry, and then something that we don't have to contend with in the rain. The Japanese tyres on the Japanese cars were like so bad by comparison. They were like 5 seconds a lap slower or something ridiculous.
Was it something about the tire? You just said tire, or did I mishear?
Yeah. I think it was the tyre that in the rain, the
Okay.
tyre on the Super GT car was just like no way as good as the DTM car,
Well,
which was crazy because in the dry they were pretty close.
are they running different tires? Like DTM is hand-cooked, but what is Super GT running? Is it Bridgestone maybe, or?
See ya, Jeff.
Huh?
Just overtaking
Oh, is that you?
Yeah.
Just wait until I find my DRS button! Oh shit!
So someone else has said in the chat, Olaf, hi. He says he's quoted Mike Rockenfeller, and he says the DTM cars are the best race cars a driver can have at the minute. And actually, Mike Rockenfeller is one of the guys that I've been poking and asking questions to fairly regularly. So yeah, he's a good guy to have.
You know, for the anecdote, Rockefeller was one of the first redrivers in RaceRoom Simulator back in 2013 when we first did the DTM. We were at Hockenheim with some simulators in the paddock, and he was one of the first drivers who was like interested, sat in the simulator, gave us feedback. It was quite fun. Cool guy.
Why are the 95 and 03 and 05 cars only Mercedes? That's because we had a partnership with Mercedes at that point, where we had a esports championship, Mercedes E-Racing, that included all their classic cars. So we got to make those cars. Unfortunately, we didn't get to make all the opponents of that class, of the DTM back then. Would be great to get them in the future at some point.
And Davey Jones is in the chat as well. Hi, Davey. And he says he'd like to know, how did the DTM license come back after it went away? Like, how did that manage to come around?
Actually, for that we have to give a big shout out to Robert Wiesenmüller, our esports manager at RaceRoom. He made it a big effort, a personal effort, to get RaceRoom back into the DTM. And we always wanted to get DTM back because it is a very popular series in our sim and also in real life. But they have been difficult to license in the past. Obviously, they're a premier series, and they don't come for cheap usually. But with recent developments in esports and how important that has become in the industry, we managed to convince them that we were the best partner for a DTM esports series, and through that we renewed our partnership, and that's the fruits of many people, but also Robert Wiesenmüller played a big part in that. So big thanks to Rob, and big thanks to everybody who got DTM and racing back together. Now I'm talking too much. Jeff is coming back at me.
Keep talking, keep asking your questions.
Okay, I'm going to keep scanning through the questions. Someone wants to know about the 2020 rule set.
Rule set, it's pretty much implemented in terms of DRS and push to pass. What I think is missing is the mandatory pit stop that require 4 tires to be changed. That's something I did look at some point, but then we didn't have time for that. But it's something we should we should fix in the future, in the coming weeks, or upcoming patch.
It sounds like a post-it notes needed on a wall somewhere.
And yeah, yeah. And then there is the fact that we don't have, in multiplayer game mode, we don't have ability to have a certain amount of time plus 1 lap, which is what they run in DTM. That's something that is only available in single player setups. So also something we should potentially consider.
Okay, I'm going to keep scanning through questions.
When is RaceRoom sponsoring gear to drive in a real race car? That's a very good question. Very valid question, I might add.
Oh, there you go. We got an answer about the Super GT tyres. It's because Super GT have got a tyre war. Of course they have, because it's a big money series. So, well, I mean, not like DTM isn't, but it's they still have the tyre war thing going off, which means that like it's a free for all rather than having just a spec tyre.
Okay. But what might explain that they were
Oh yeah,
worse?
of course. That's that's the opposite. That doesn't explain the in the rain, does it?
Well,
Huh,
yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, you'd think the opposite from that.
How much DRS have you left, Jeff?
I'm not telling you.
In case you guys missed it, we had a hotfix today, patching the DRS usage. So it should be all good now, hopefully.
It's my bad. Sorry.
Well, those rules were a tiny bit complicated and written in a manner that only lawyers understand it.
This is a question. This is a good question. I like this. Someone wants to know about what's the stance on adding more historic content in classic tracks? JF.
Yeah, well, right now we are. There is only so much we can do at once, right? And these days we've been busy with DTM. Now we're getting busy with the WTCR core pack for 2020, because as you know, they have raced now in Zolder, and new liveries. There is a new car, and we have to get busy on that. That said, I know we have one classic car that is, I think, releasable at this point, but I'm not saying which one. There you go. It's
I know. You're
yeah,
good.
it's German.
I know.
Oh, you know, of course, yeah. But yeah, we have at least one classic car coming. I can't say when because you know, it's been parked. We have quite a few cars that we have put in the freezer while we get busy on other stuff. For example, yeah, I'm not saying which, but we are in approval process for at least, I think, 4 cars. But it's been put on the freezer while we delivered DTM. So yeah, that's all I can say at the moment. You will hear about upcoming content in due time.
Hello, Billy. Well, it's also down to you guys. If you guys drive historic content more, then we will probably also look into producing more historic content. Unfortunately, they are not the most popular cars in RaceRoom. At least in the multiplayer sense. People still enjoy the cars a lot, but in multiplayer, for some reason, everybody gravitates towards GT cars and touring cars.
You know, the most driven car and the most driven track is the Porsche 911 GT3R on Nordschleife. That's what people like, regardless of game mode. That's what they drive.
That's also kind of my cup of tea. Porsche Nordschleife.
934 Nordschleifer.
Yeah. The Fab car on Nordschleifer, that's a hell of a ride, I can tell you.
Ooh, big sideways. Nice.
Yeah, I'm having quite a few moments, but tires are still okay-ish. Yellow though, 66%.
Can you guys keep distracting Georg a bit, like ask him some questions?
Brake, don't brake. Change gear. No, other way. Okay, so because historic cars have been brought up, and this is something that JF knows that I really enjoy, let's see if we can get anyone in the chat to agree on what they would like to have added as a classic historic car. So that's the question.
I'm back on the podium.
Okay.
Race isn't over. Anything can happen.
And I'm down to 4th again.
More Group C. Yes, that's a vote for me.
Oh, this is so great having you to read the chat for me here, Alex. Can you join me every stream from now on? That would be perfect. And I can focus
Ooh,
on the
this
drive.
is a very nice suggestion here for historic cars from the small. It seems like people really want small engined historic race cars.
I want a Playmate for the NSU, that would be fantastic. That's a very small engine though.
Well, the classic car I was talking about that is coming, historic car, is quite a small engine, right?
Yeah, not NSU small though, I believe.
Do you know from the top of your head, do you know the power of that car, Alex? Quick, open the spreadsheet.
It's not 600. I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
It's
Let's see if
somewhere-
people guess from the numbers.
I'm gonna have to open a spreadsheet. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it.
P4.
ALMS, is that also, does that qualify as historic already now? Maybe it does.
Oh,
They probably raced in the 80s already. Was it called ALMS back then?
IMSA.
That was IMSA, yeah. Well, we have a 962 that would race in IMSA. And that is a car that you don't find in many other games, actually. And it goes well with the Nissan. I'm getting L's here in the chat. Yeah, thank you very much. I still finished on the podium after I missed my start.
I have an answer for you now, JF. So, about 175 horsepower. And it's less than 2-litre engine, it's more like 1.5. So, I can't give any more clues than that.
Don't know why, but I can't get the chat working today, showing the stream, but I think we'll survive that.
Oh, there is Moody in the chat. He's talking about his charity stream. Maybe we should talk about that.
Definitely. Mooney is doing a charity stream on Saturday.
That's tomorrow, guys.
Exactly. It's gonna be like an all-day stream or something, right? But I believe he's gonna drive RaceRoom around 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Central European summertime.
I think it was more in the morning.
Was it?
If I remember right, yeah.
I think it was 4 p.m. CEST.
Okay. Maybe you can answer that, Mooney. 4 p.m. Okay. Maybe that changed. Sorry for the confusion. What are we racing now?
What do we have?
We have a TT Cup at Sepang or a full server of GT3 at Hockenheim.
Let's pick something with a long practice session. They're
Yeah.
all about to run out, aren't they?
Well, there is TT Cup at Sepang. 9 minutes practice.
Yeah, let's go for that one.
Might not be pretty because it's the rookie server.
It's fine. My reputation is going down the shitter today, no matter what. Why was the Volkswagen never released? Actually, that reminds me, we should release that car, Jeff, right?
Which one?
The Volkswagen IDR. The electric.
Yeah, soon.
There you go.
Is all I can say. It's planned. It will be released, no doubt.
What else has been in those last updates, Jeff? I mean, there's been so many updates. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, every time we push an update, we try and push anything that is obviously ready, but also that doesn't affect ongoing events, ongoing esports, and that means that we are working on other stuff that we have to hold back. And traditionally, our December updates are always the ones where we push all the big stuff that modify the game to its core. Like huge changes to the physics engine. And maybe Alex, you can go into more details, but when we did the anti-lag system for the DTM 2020, it also came with a modification of the turbo calculations in the physics engine, but this affects all the turbo cars within RaceRoom, so it just couldn't go live as is, and that's something that that we will push in the December update, hopefully, when there is this break in league racing. All the communities are having a Christmas break or a winter break, and esports is also having an interruption.
Actually, we didn't. You mentioned the anti-lag. Then we haven't talked about it, have we, at all?
Okay.
Right. So. Let's just talk about like what happens with that and like the idea behind it. So basically what it does is when you drive the turbo car, obviously the boost pressure takes just a little bit of time from when you're accelerating to build up. And without anti-lag, when you lift off the throttle, that boost pressure then sometimes slowly, sometimes pretty quickly drops back down. So when you get back on the throttle, it's then got to build itself back up again. So you end up with turbo lag whilst you're waiting for that stuff to build back up. But what anti-lag does is it basically keeps sending fuel into the engine, and instead of igniting the fuel when the pistons like at the top, so that if the fuel's ignited it creates power, instead of doing that, it ignites the fuel really late, so it basically creates a flame that comes out of the engine, the wrong side, and shoots a flame down the exhaust and goes through the turbo and basically makes expanding gases that keep spinning the turbo up fast, but without creating any actual power. Because if it kept making power when you put off the throttle, then well, that's no help at all. So that's why if you listen to our cars in game, you can hear there's that like growling kind of rough sound when the anti-lag's active. It's basically fuel, like big flashes of flame going down the exhaust pipe. So that's what anti-lag's doing. And what we've got it doing in game is, well, it's matched to how the real behaviour is. So you lift off the throttle, and the pressure doesn't stay at its absolute maximum. It drops just a little bit, and then it holds until you get below some like pretty low revs. So like the slowest of the slow hairpins, it might just start to disengage a little bit. But it means that as soon as you get back on the throttle, the boost pressure's there, and the car will go. And that's another thing that makes these engines quite savage and quite brutal out of the slow turns, because that boost pressure is already there, so you've already got like a heck of a lot of torque. It's like 600 newton meters of torque coming from these engines. So yeah, that's what's going on with anti-lag. So that was really cool to do and figure out. And for us, it's not going to be the end of the implementation of anti-lag, because having put a few feelers out and done a bit of research, it seems that a few other series use anti-lag, like the World Touring cars actually, or World TCR cars. They're using anti-lag of a form, So we're looking at implementing it for those as well, and a few other little bits and pieces. I can't quite get to the bottom of which GT3 cars do or don't use it, but maybe we'll be able to apply it to a few of those. Just as like out of interest, the downside of anti-lag, you might be thinking like, why hasn't every car got it? The downside is it's actually creates a lot of heat, and it's very, very like abusive to the turbo, and it shortens the life. So that's why it's not used all the time on everything, and that's why endurance race cars don't use it, basically, because it's because at the minute, without more development, it's quite a high chance of it breaking something.
You mentioned it's fuel being injected. Does that how much does that affect the fuel consumption? Like, I guess that's also a factor for endurance racing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely I mean, it's hard to put a percentage on how much fuel it's using compared to when you're on full throttle, but it's not like using none. It's just like a little trickle of fuel. So that's definitely a factor. I mean, there are further features that we're working on, like the engine maps that we're working on. So there's a possibility that some of our cars might have anti-lag in certain engine modes. That's like a qualifying mode that just dumps all the fuel in, has got anti-lag, but maybe it's an LMP2 car that it doesn't run anti-lag in the race. So your pace in qualifying might be 5 seconds a lap faster because it's got so much more power going on in qualifying in this engine map mode. So that's another thing to get quite excited about, the engine mapping and what we're going to be doing with that, because sort of fans of maybe the older cars will know that back in the day there wasn't any sort of equalisation of performance, and qualifying was just a free-for-all where everyone just turned up the boost to the maximum, and it's looking like a real possibility that that's something that we're going to be able to do, and it just needs probably some of the online racing side of it sorting out, because people driving around in 1,000 horsepower Group C cars in a server is going to be a bit of a recipe for carnage. So maybe we need to just like pin it down a little bit or something.
No. Give me full power.
Just put reputation limit at 90 and that's fine.
But yeah.
But that's fantastic. I'm sure people are really happy to hear that engine maps will come to the sim hopefully in the future, not too distant future.
It was so cool the first time that I was just beaming from ear to ear the first time that we loaded it up. I basically, Robert, who writes the code, had done this implementation and written all the code how I wanted it to be, and basically I made like 5 different engine maps for the Group C Porsche, and I started off in the lowest one and then did a couple of laps, and then I went up another one and did a couple of laps, and then I went up another one and did a few more laps, and then by the time I got to the top engine setting, it had like 450 horsepower more than it did on the lowest, and it was just crazy. It was like, I mean, the cars are great anyway, but then you throw 75% more power at them, and it just enters another dimension.
I see a lot of people mentioning driver swaps, and that is of course something we would love to get implemented as well, but that's going to be a bigger project, and future will tell if that is going to appear in RaceRoom or not, but I have my fingers crossed, same as you.
Yeah, I mean, driver swap, it's something we looked into, but we are in need of new staff. We need some network programmer and to actually revisit the network code for RaceRoom. So it might be something that you see soon, that we look for a network programmer, and you can know when you see that job ad, you know we're committed to do a lot of things like that.
And you can apply directly.
You know, there are features we were looking at, like instant replay and multiplayer for broadcasts, but it's all things that that we just looked at and figured like this is going to take us way too long, and we are like short staff at Sector 3, so we have to work on this and that, and we just can't afford spending the time on this. And the issue with for example, the issue with instant replay and multiplayer was that we had to somehow run the simulation twice in parallel, because you have to run the simulation for the replay and also keep track of what's happening while you're watching the replay, because the race is keeps happening. You didn't pause you cannot pause a multiplayer race. So that was the hurdle, and yeah, for that we need to spend a lot of time investigating, which we can't afford at the moment.
Ultra X perks for boosting the Discord server, and you get a special role, I believe, on this server. I don't know if there are any other perks though, other than that.
There is an animated server icon.
Yeah.
Very proud of that one.
If you have any suggestions of what we can offer you as a perk, then feel free to let us know on the Discord. Everybody who hasn't joined the Discord should totally do that now. It's discord.gg/RaceRoom.
I'm actually lost at Sepang. It's so huge.
Yeah, it's kind of really cool with these cars though, because of those long sweeping corners and then closing corners, tightening corners. It's quite challenging.
Yeah, but I have too many choices in trajectories. I'd rather have one. This is the right one. You should be here. But here it's like, I have too many options. They all look as fast as the other.
There's a RaceRoom cafe at the circuit, right?
Sepang, I don't think. There is one at Dubai. There is a race room at Dubai.
But I think there have been some events at Sepang, like for sure. I've seen.
There were events, yes, thanks to RaceRoom Malaysia.
RaceRoom Malaysia. So these big buildings here have had RaceRoom simulators in it, which is quite cool. So someone else is asking about the new user interface, like the new menu system, and
well, you can see already that. Yeah, let's start with from the beginning. The issue with the UI in RaceRoom is that it's based on Scaleform Flash. It's a Flash technology, and we used to have Flash developers, but we no longer do. So what we do have is a web developer. So we went for replacing this old Scaleform menus with web, and you can see the car setup menu, which we recently pushed. That's a web page, and that is the first taste of what good things are coming. We have done the replay menu, which is being pushed. We have in progress the options menu being redone. And while we redo a menu, we try and not only change the technology it's made with, but also improve it. So, for example, with the options menu in web now, we looked into how to make the setting up a triple screen, setting up your FOV, making a FOV calculator with preview and some diagrams, and it's quite fun. So yeah. Right now, the menus that are being worked on are the garage menus. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some mock-ups and designs, and it's looking really, really promising. I hope we can maybe preview that at some point, but of course, it's gonna take a while before all the menus gonna be updated. So, but you can definitely look forward to that.
I think the most likely scenario is that we will push each menu as it's ready. So the next one that will be pushed will most likely be the replay interface, the replay loading menu.
Yeah.
Which is still using the design and menu from 2013. You can even still see the orb. Every time I go in there, I'm like, oh, yeah, this happened.
Exactly.
Blast from the past.
yeah, linking the Discord profile with the game is something I would have I have suggested. I don't know if we have time at some point in the future to make that happen. That would be awesome, I think. Then you could have different rules depending on what rating you have and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of cool. We will see.
Sounds interesting.
Let's talk about VR upgrades. I'm actually getting a VR headset soon, so I will be doing some testing in VR.
Let's talk about VR, because I would like to buy a headset as well, and you're buying the HP Reverb G2. You
Yes.
already bought it.
Yes, I
Pre-ordered.
already bought it, yeah.
I was told that the tracking for that one isn't as good.
It's not as good as the Valve Index because it has inside-out tracking. It doesn't have the base stations. But for me that's only a plus because I'm not doing much with my hands or my controllers, so I don't really need a whole lot of tracking. For sitting in a cockpit, being a racing simulator or flight simulator, you don't really need that so much.
Okay.
And it should be more than good enough for that.
Have either of you guys know which is the best for using with Excel?
with Axel.
You need a good resolution for that.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm so slow here. Can't focus. It's gonna be an interesting race. No, but honestly, from what I hear, VR is working pretty well in RaceRoom. I mean, obviously there are some games that might do it better, but those games require like big, expensive PCs to even run them. And from what I hear, RaceRoom seems to run pretty well even on like a little bit older hardware in VR, which is a plus. And those few times I did test it in VR, I found it to be working really, really well. So, but I will be doing more driving in VR in the future, and there's probably some things where we can improve. Hey Brian, the cars are beasts. Yeah, the DTMs are beasts. You do spin? Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, doesn't it? You are too used to traction control and ABS.
Alright, how much fuel for this?
I don't know.
Let's go 50.
No, 30. Maybe 35.
Okay, you do 35, I do 40.
35 does 15 laps, that should be plenty.
Oh, there is launch control on these.
Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, Mooney is right in the chat. The VR is actually heavier on the CPU than on the GPU in RaceRoom because we have to do a lot of hacks to make it believe that it's coming from DirectX 10. So we do some magic, but a lot of it is going through the CPU, sadly. So yeah, nothing we can do at the moment.
Okay, I'm not gonna miss the start this time, hopefully.
There's a question in the chat, pardon me, I'm still eating a pizza, about GT3, any physics update planned? No big update planned, but there is there's a tyre update which is in progress, which is nice.
But aren't they
Even though
going
it was-
to be affected? Sorry.
Even though it was updated like very recently, it's
Yeah, bit by
this
mistake.
is
By
like
the way.
this
Sorry
is like
again.
sort of magical. This is like a sort of minor. It's like minor factoring now. Like we've definitely with the GT3s we've passed like the big steps of things. It's now into the details. Especially when we start talking about things like engine maps and stuff like that. That's
Exactly, yeah.
details.
Those are details. I think it's changing quite. Changing the car quite a lot. How you approach the car. Engine map.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's not only the engine map, of course. They've also got throttle map incoming, which is different to the engine map. That basically the engine map modifies how the torque is deployed of the engine and how much fuel the engine uses, and maybe how many revs the engine can do. But the throttle map simply alters how much power you get from the engine for a given input with your foot. Which kind of, when I say it like that, still sounds like they're both the same thing, but they're not. They are different. And yeah, so that's probably going to be something that you're going to have two separate adjusters for, to be able to switch between one and the other, or maybe sometimes it'll be combined. It's not really entirely decided yet. It's down to the regulations as well sometimes, you know, like GT3 are quite restrictive in what you're not allowed to do. But it's another thing that's going to be sort of added, another layer of detail basically. Oh, someone's asking, is this... Yeah, I'm Alex. Hi, Brian.
Will the open wheels cars be updated anytime soon?
Yeah, for sure. If time allows, then like everything's a candidate for definite. And yeah, I know the request for some love for those is like pretty high. So for sure, I can't see any reason why not. Like the junior keeps sort of getting a little bit of love every now and then, but those others just need to like get in the loop basically. But that'll definitely be something nice. There's some really cool tech and some exciting stuff on those. Like, I obviously like to geek out over suspension and aerodynamics and stuff like that. So, like, I mean,
would you rather review the physics of the FRX 17 or us doing a new one, FRX 21, for example, with a halo and?
Oh. That's a really good question. Like, it's quite cool to have them both, but I'm interested to see what people in the chat think. To be honest, to that, because.
But if you ask them, they will always want something new, right?
Of course.
But V12,
and the update for the old one. Oh, but the FRX 17 cars, they're quite popular, aren't they, JF?
Yeah, it's the second non-free car, most popular car in terms of how many times, or how often people load it. And it was, remember in March when we had the free access weekend, which lasted like a week. It's the car, the FRX 17 is the car that had the biggest boost. So it's the car that attracted the most clicks. When people are free to click whatever for free.
People
so
like
it's quite
driving
interesting.
Fast cars.
Yeah.
Fast and easy cars.
What would the FRX 21 be if we had it? Like, how?
Well, I would, if we would do a new version, I would probably do one that is inspired by the new F1 regulations. But those are only gonna be 2022 in effect. So, but I mean, since it's only a inspiration, a source of inspiration, we could already do it now because the specs are pretty clear already, I believe. Those are gonna be some interesting cars.
The spirit of FRX 17 was that we pretty much made what we wished F1 was. So that's why there is a big, loud V10 in the car.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could take the same approach again.
But we already did. Then we made the F490.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should just rename that. Rename the F490 the F4 2021. This is what
Just
it
put
should
a
be.
halo. Just put a halo on the
Oh god, what a sin.
and a shark
Sacrilegious.
fin in the back.
I'm sure that would go down well with the F1 fans, with the Formula fans.
You know, it might just make a buzz and turn RaceRoom into a viral thing. Viral marketing with some meme cars.
No shopping carts.
Oh god, I think I have a flat spot. Oh, it's gone. Maybe it was just the slip effect I was feeling. Release the shopping cart. True story, Wolfix. That's, by the way, that's Marcus, our vehicle artist in the chat.
It's Marcus. That's funny.
The shopping cart is actually in the beta builds. Beta testers are having fun with it instead of instead of testing serious things. They just go shopping cart with the test track and do loopings.
When broken physics go fun. That was quite fun. I remember Marcus said something like, "Oh, look at the shopping cart we have in game. It's wobbling all over the place. Maybe you can do something about it." And I loaded it, and I just thought it was so funny. I was like, "No, it's perfect. Leave it."
We need a downhill track where you can just do soapbox racing.
Well, a question that's come up 3 times now, so I'll ask it. People want to know about manual in-laps.
Ooh. Should we answer that? Because it sounds like a promise, but we have it in dev. We also have... Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant to...
Go ahead,
say
Jeff. Go ahead, spill the beans.
But it's
you
in
heard
dev,
it here
so no
first,
promise.
guys.
Yeah, but no promise, because I don't want people to believe that it's coming when we are only working on it. But we are working on, with Robert Holm, that Alex mentioned before, on manual in-laps, so AI doesn't take over once the race is finished, and a rolling start, manual rolling start procedure. So yeah.
That would be awesome. Let's cross our fingers.
But again, it's only experimental at the moment. Proof of concept.
I approve of it. Yeah, people keep bringing up DirectX 11, of course, and new engines and stuff like that, but those are big changes, guys. They don't happen in a matter of days, weeks, or months, you know. Future will tell what happens in that regard.
We don't really know ourselves.
Yeah. But it's definitely on our radar. That's for sure.
There is a lot of things happening at Simbin UK. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Whoever I just pushed. And he recovered, so I'm okay.
I pushed one off previously as well, but I had nowhere to go. That was unfortunate. What about the new BMW GT3? Somebody's asking. The M4. Do you like how it looks, Jeff?
How does the front look? Because I remember seeing spy shots from the rear.
It looks kind of like the road car, but not as bad. You know, with the big front grille.
Okay. Does it look mean? Does it look aggressive and fast?
I think at least the guy who's asking the question probably likes the car. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask.
But if it looks good, we might license it.
But only if it looks good.
Yeah.
Without saying too much, Jeff, but can you say
I
a little
already
bit?
said too much.
I already say too much by just asking the question. But what's the plan with GT3 in general? Are there any new cars coming?
Yes, and GT4 as well. Yeah, I can leave it at that. But
Yeah.
there are some GT3 models being worked on. At the beginning of the stream, I was mentioning all the cars that we had to put in the freezer while we were working on DTM and WTCR. Some of those are GT3s. There is one GT4. What else? Yeah. So definitely, not stopping there.
Yeah, with filling out some more classes as well, aren't we? I think when I sort of glaze over what we have.
Could you explain the whole brand set only having indie layout for a new RaceRoom player in the chat? He's of course
Okay.
already aware of the meme. Brand set.
Well, the reason is that there is no GP layout in real life.
Yeah, people keep going on about
living
that
a lie.
fictional Grand Prix layout. I don't know.
I mean, there is this fantasy layout that, but it's all fake.
It's wishful thinking.
It's
I
fake.
wish Brands Hatch had a Grand Prix layout.
Me too. Maybe we should do it, as a virtual layout. Okay, but the serious answer is that we had the TM 2013, and that year they went to Brands Hatch and they raced on the Indy layout. And with the DTM license came all the tracks of that season. But while we were allowed to make all the layouts of the other tracks, we were not allowed to do the Brands Hatch GP layout. For that, we had to pay extra license fees, like that, so it didn't go through, sadly. That said, we've just updated Brands Hatch to the 2020 visuals, so right now, after the last patch of this week, you can enjoy some new details, new buildings, new runoffs at routes. I think there is this bonus lap, or what was it called? There is a path that you follow for the Joker lap or something like that. So it's a bit weird now at routes. And we have a race room at Brands Hatch. Obviously, from a business point of view, makes sense to have the GP layout, but since it doesn't exist,
Yeah, speaking of track updates and free track updates, we have updated quite a few tracks in the last few patches. How did that come to be?
well, yeah, I can't actually say too much about that, York, because
Oh, I know, right, that's right.
yeah, because if I no, I can't answer that. But
Never mind.
we always look at our all the content, and if there is a good reason, if it's obsolete, or like if it aged, and we really want to promote it a bit more, and we think we have time, then we do it. And that is done not only for art, like tracks, but also for physics. And Anthony does sound updates whenever he gets a new recording. Alex does physics updates of most obsolete cars, except the German nationals. That's weird. We never seem to update those.
They're nostalgia. They're kept there as a reference. You have to remember where you come from.
They don't exist either, right? Maybe when we do Brands Hatch GP, we update the German nationals for it, and we make it only raceable with those cars.
Yeah, you mentioned the sounds as well. Was it the last update or the update before had a pretty significant sound update that included a ton of new sounds for basically all the cars, right? Like brake sounds and suspension sounds and whatnot.
Yeah, the biggest change there was that our cockpit sounds, and now I'm talking for Anthony. Wish he was here to talk about that himself, but the interior sounds were always a bit lacking in terms of backfires, in terms of ambient life in the cockpit. In DTM cars, the anti-lag system, the backfires, because of the exhaust being right next to you, are very, very prominent. And that's always something that was very nice in the external cameras, but never there for the cockpit camera. So yeah, Anthony and Robin Holm again worked on adding those for the cockpit cameras, and Anthony spent like a few weeks adding that to all the cars that we have. So yeah, now it's great. The difference that it makes is quite impressive. For a while, the testers were they didn't want to go back test in the public version because they had so sounds they didn't want to switch, and now it's public, so it's fine.
Spoiled beta testers. Yeah, I've been noticing in this car in particular, I noticed some kind of whistle on the brakes or downshifts. Was it like, or maybe it was a turbo whistle or something? I don't know what exactly it was, but it sounded cool. Brian is asking about Watkins Glen. That would be a cool track. We'll see. We'll see.
Who's Brian?
Brian is the moderator here on the channel.
Hello, Brian. Watkins Glen.
Did you note that down?
Let me hold on. There we go. It's noted.
Perfect.
Thanks for the tip.
Let's see what we will race next. This is so tough, man, to talk and read and discuss while racing. I'm losing so much rating today, but it's okay. Doing it for the community.
Jeff looks like Al Capone. What? Let me cross off Watkins Glen. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Al Capone?
He's a pretty badass mafia boss, so
Okay,
make of that what you will. Interlagos is a good one as well. I agree on that one, Vitor. That would be fantastic.
Interlagos is left-handed, which makes it quite unusual, doesn't it? Have we got any left-handed circuits in game?
Laguna Seca is one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Anything else? I can't think.
Lausitzring, I believe.
Norrisring.
Oh, have you guys ever seen the... Because we were talking about historic circuits before, have you guys ever seen the historic layout, the old layout of Laguna Seca?
I've driven a mod in Formula 1 2002 with...
I've seen it in Herbie.
Yes!
It's supposed to be the GP of France or something in that movie, and it's actually Laguna Seca. It's quite difficult, but you need to be old like me to have seen it.
It was crazy though, right? So when you go down the hill and you have the first hairpin left, it's just a ridiculously fast left, and then it joins back in like before the bridge. And it's like a really crazy quick over with a corkscrew.
I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, historic circuits were something else.
Would be a fun
I wish we had the historic Imola, or maybe even just a layout without the chicane. I hate those chicanes in Imola.
They're good for developing physics though. You can really test whether the dampers are okay and whether the suspension's doing something weird.
Somebody, Arthur is missing Valencia from Race 07 a bit. It's not much used that track nowadays, is it?
Isn't it in MotoGP Valencia?
Probably, yeah.
Season finale, I think, usually.
Road Atlanta and Watkins Glen would be great, yes, I agree. Big fan of those as well. Historic Falkenberg. Is one Falkenberg track not enough for you? Guys, what server do we join on next?
There is Hockenheim in GT3.
Yeah, could do that. Let's go for that one.
I'm thinking about being really distracting right now, seeing how you guys get on with it. I'm gonna maybe pick this up and just take a little walk downstairs and show off a toy.
Go ahead, do that.
I think some of the guys watching might quite like to see what what I
Yep.
get up to when there's a bit of time there.
But then I'm not driving. I'm going to watch as well.
Take a walk with me.
Dedicated server option for jump starts. I think we
Um,
kind of touched on that already, or
no jump starts. We didn't mention it, but it's something. That's something we have in dev at the moment.
let's see if I can make Alex full screen for this. Hang on a second.
I don't know how the camera is going to behave.
Ooh, that is nice. I like the bike as well. That is a sexy looking car. Did you build it basically yourself? I mean, rebuild it or build it up yourself?
Yeah. So here's one I made earlier, as they say. Let's just have a little bit of a walk around. So let's just have a look. So I bought this. This is a Mazda RX-7 for those of you that kind of can't recognise it. And I bought.
You are breaking up a little bit.
And it is a C.
Yeah,
So,
you're too far from the wall.
There's like I put carbon fibre and made everything, like these doors and like all the bodywork.
I think the Wi-Fi in your basement isn't too great.
I'll be back. You minimise me and carry on chatting for now.
Well, I wish I had a car like that in my garage.
Yeah, but what he doesn't say is that it doesn't start.
He's working on it. He's working on it.
That's why he has the bike, you know.
That bike is historic as well, or trying to.
I'm back. I've returned. I think it should be better now.
All right. So
I
far
think
so good.
the issue was your Wi-Fi. I think you were breaking up in the signal, not so much the sound.
Yeah, but for now it works all right.
Yeah, Alex, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, Arthur Spooner in the chat is asking you to start the engine. He's daring you.
Not tonight. No, far too noisy. And also, these cars are pretty notorious for shooting really big flames out, and that's a fiberglass garage door right behind it. That's pretty dangerous.
Okay, then you have to come back in another stream and start it up at some point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, you can hear Alex's car in RaceRoom. Did you know?
Which
Every single car. Yeah, this is true.
The fuel pump from this Mazda has been recorded by Alex, and Anthony used it as a new sample for the ignition when you turn on the engine.
Oh, that's awesome. So it is actual functional. Perfect, love the sticker.
How much money did they give you for that sticker?
Very good. Next joke.
People are asking if the hood is custom and if it's a rotary engine.
Yeah, I mean, how much geeking out do you want to do? Do you guys want to see the engine and everything? Like, we're going to make this into a car stream instead of a racing stream.
I think you have to quickly open her up just for people to see.
Okay.
See, it's falling apart.
So yeah, guys, there's an engine in there.
What engine is it?
So that's that right there is it's a 2-rotor, single turbo. It's actually got about the same size turbo as a DTM car.
Wow.
And so, but this is not quite as much power. This is like maybe about 500. It's got a 6-speed sequential gearbox, like a proper race car. It's got air jacks on it, so it can be jacked up just by plugging it into some compressed air. The brakes are AP racing brakes. Like everything's carbon fiber, like even these headlights and this and this. And yeah, someone said that, like, is the bonnet custom? Yeah, like everything is. Everything. The only thing that's not is the roof is metal, but everything else is carbon fiber, and I made it here.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have a KW suspension on it yet?
I can't, let's just say it's got some Swedish stickers somewhere.
Oh, all right.
Controversial.
Controversial. Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's go back to what we're supposed to be doing, hey?
Yeah, Olaf in the chat is saying that you hijacked the stream and made it feel like a Monty Python sketch. Here's DTM, here's ranked, and here's something now for something completely different, an upgraded MX-7.
I'm sure people appreciate it. I mean, it's actually really cool to have a developer who is not only a computer geek, but he's also an actual driver and driving instructor. So that is, of course, beneficial. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, Alex. You are not only a developer here at Sector 3 Studios, but you also do some driving instructions, right?
Yeah, well, actually, my full-time job before I worked for Sector 3 is I was a full-time on-circuit racing instructor. So, because I used to race myself, and sort of ever so often I still sort of have a go, but actually not since I started at Sector 3. And I'd teach people that were new to racing, that wanted to do track days in an expensive toy that they'd got. I teach them like the basics and sort of how to get going pretty well. And yeah, as I said, I did that full time for 7 years. So I started off quite young. I was like 21, teaching people that had, in fact I was younger, I was 19. Wow. Teaching people that had like these really expensive cars, and I was this like cocky little kid that was sort of teaching them how to drive it, which is nice. That was what you call living the dream, I think.
Indeed,
but,
indeed.
But yeah, but like until actually lockdown and everything kicked in, I was still spending a couple of weekends a month doing that as a job. So like very much like in tune with keeping my finger on the pulse, and in tune with like real cars and what they should really feel like, and trying all the time to make RaceRoom feel like that.
Perfect. You also drove race cars, right? Like in a championship, or was that you drove the Formula? What is it, Ford or whatever? What was it called?
Yeah. I raced. Actually, I started racing karts when I was 11. And then did that until I was 18, and then I raced Formula Ford, which is the first junior single-seater step in the UK, and I did that for a couple of years, and then which is like in the British series, and then I raced in some cup classes like the MX-5s, which is very popular over here, and MR2s, and even a Citroen 2CV.
Wow.
Oh man, that was like the 24-hour race in a Citroen 2CV.
Did it have a roll cage at least?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those look like a death trap. You don't want to crash in that 2CV.
You can't be hurt at 50 miles an hour. Like,
that's true.
Like 80 kph, like absolute tops. Even down the longest of straights, it was crazy. And And then I was very lucky to have a go in a few. I drove a Group C car once for
Whoa.
6 laps.
Awesome.
And then like quite a lot of like mad road cars. It's a bit of a boast, but it's true. I did 200 miles an hour in a Porsche Carrera once.
Wow. What track was that? What was that on?
It was on. I was actually on an airfield. It was on a runway.
Okay.
Just
Oh.
go.
Damn.
And but I think, like the really nice thing is that I've come into RaceRoom like off the back of that, and like still just have that. Like that's my thing. Like number one is the driving and like understanding what's going on with the cars. So it's really cool to be able to like work towards recreating that right feeling inside RaceRoom.
Awesome. Sounds like a dream job, but then you're dealing with a lot of Excel sheets, right?
Oh, Excel is like a wife to me now, I think. So
Yeah.
I think we're married.
Cool. Let's get back out on track here. We're on the GT3 server, guys. If you want to join, I see we have quite a few people already on here. That's perfect. So
Marcus is on the server. Marcus Dempwolf,
I
car
see,
artist
I see,
in
yeah.
Sector 3.
I better not lose against him. So have you ever driven on Brands Hatch, Alex, in real life?
The fantasy one.
The fantasy one, yeah.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, definitely. I raced MX-5s at Brands Hatch, and actually I've got a crazy story about the GP circuit. So I went to go and do some work, which was basically like a day of entertainment for a company that they thought it'd be a really nice thing to get together and drive some cars around the track. But somehow someone had misunderstood something, and they managed to book these completely non-experienced drivers on a very, very experienced day.
Mm-hmm.
But with an instructor, so they were like, oh, maybe it'll be okay. And the highlight that I remember is we were on the GP circuit, and we went around like the far end. I can't remember any of the corner names at Brands Hatch, but we did all the twisty stuff out the other end. And I was in a caterum with someone that had never driven around any circuit at all ever before, and so he didn't know which way it was going. He was looking like, is it this way, is it this way? And I'm like kind of pointing and doing a little bit of steering and trying to help and stuff. And then we got onto the final straight, like the actual straight, not the curved straight. And I spotted something in the mirrors, because this guy's like so full of everything that's going on that he's not looking behind him or anything like that. So I said, oh, just stay to the right here, because there's something fast coming up. And as he stayed to the right, I just looked at how fast we were going, and we were doing like what would it be, 100 kilometers an hour, something like that, like not very fast in a little caterum.
Yeah.
And as we got over to the right side, the car that was approaching us went past, changed up a gear, and like just kept going, and then grabbed another gear. It was a Porsche 962 Group C car, and it must have gone by at like 250 kilometers an hour. Like it was absolutely like the speed difference was crazy, and I was like, whoa, this is dangerous.
Did you see it was like 10 years ago or something like that, when during a race somebody drove onto the circuit with his road car. He just managed to sneak somehow in the paddock and found a road to the racetrack on Brands Hatch. That was crazy.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that.
He filmed it and put it on YouTube. I think they put him in jail for that, or at least they got a pretty big fine.
Right, he actually, you know why they put him in jail? It was not for the trespassing. They put him in jail, this is true, for like, it's not unlawful imprisonment, but basically like they did him for having this girl captive in the car.
Oh yeah, she didn't approve of this.
And that was the main crime.
Yeah. Crazy story.
Welcome to England.
Olaf is saying this is one of the most accurate versions of current Hockenheim in any sim. Well, thanks for the compliment. Sure, Alex Humler is one of our track artists, or lead track artist, appreciates that. Don't know if it was him modeling this particular track, probably was.
Honestly, can't remember because Hockenheim was like one of the tracks that were there from day one, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I think I've seen him. I've seen Comet in the chat earlier, so maybe he's here. He can confirm.
Yeah,
who
I don't know
did
if
it.
he's still here, but yeah. But regardless, we have made quite a few updates over the course of the years on this track. And the recent one, not too long ago, changed a wall that you will see in a moment here. That it was changed in real life, and then we had to change it here as well, I believe. That one here on the left.
It's not only that. This was done by a new track artist here at Sector 3, Manuel
yeah.
Geyer. And there is the Porsche Center when you enter the stadium on the right.
Right.
And then inside the stadium there is the Rallycross track that is actually modeled now.
So Rallycross incoming then, or?
I don't think so. And then part of the Porsche Experience Center there is on the left side of that wall that you just mentioned. Before the wall on the left side there is this SUV test area where you can just go and experience SUV on the slope and all kinds of things. That's also something you can see from the track.
I remember when we were there, Jeff, for the Mercedes event, and we took a track walk and took photo reference.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool experience.
Yeah, we were at the track walk with the drivers.
Yeah.
I remember.
Same time as Farfus, I believe we met.
Yeah. He was making fun of us because we were making pictures of the curbs and stuff.
Yeah. He didn't quite understand what we were doing here.
You walk all the way from on. You did the whole thing on foot.
I think we took a shortcut at some point.
It's quite a long. It takes a long time to walk around the circuit.
Yeah. I think we walked Sector 1 into the Parabolica and then took a shortcut, if I remember correctly.
I think it's
you
kind of think it's not going to take so long because you're used to doing like 1 minute 30 laps in the games. You're like, oh, it's not very far, and then you set off and it looks so big and it's so far.
It's so funny though, spending so much time on these virtual circuits. When you go to a real circuit, then you have this feeling of kind of knowing the place so well. You know, I've been here so many times, but then you see it in real life. And as much as virtual reality and everything can give you a really good impression of what the place looks like, I think the elevation is one thing that doesn't really come across in the Sims. And not because the tracks are wrong, they are obviously right, but looking at the screen, it's a different story, of course, than seeing it in real life.
When you get in the mode with the VR, that definitely brings it out for sure.
Yeah, VR is definitely shows that off much better than the screen.
What's funny is that when I load a track in the game that I visited, I have the memory of the smell. Like if the paddock has this smell, and depending on the track, like the Nürburgring and Hockenheim, Zolder, they don't smell the same. It's all like racing. It's a racing smell, but it's a different scent. And every time I load the track, my brain just goes, "This is the smell," and I have it. It's really nice.
You haven't been to any English circuits, have you?
No.
No. If you want to know the smell, then bacon, eggs.
I was just about to ask, what is Spa-Francorchamps smelling like? Is it fries and waffles, or?
Mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's pretty much beer and fries.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Holding everybody up here.
What do you think Bathurst smells like?
Kangaroo shit? Oh, I don't know.
I imagine Foster's, and JF really likes Foster's.
Foster's.
What?
that's
Sorry?
right.
What do I like?
I imagine that Bathurst smells like Foster's, and JF told me today how much he likes Foster's.
You know why I hate Foster's? It's actually because of Spa. Because for quite a while, when I became of age of drinking, Foster's was the sponsor of Formula One, and you could only find Foster's at Spa on the track. So that's how I grew to really dislike the beer, because in the land of Jupiler and in the land of the best beer in the world, you are forced to drink Foster's because that's the sponsor of this track. And I was like, this is an invasion. And so it really, I don't like that beer at all. It has nothing good about it.
Now I'm thirsty.
I'm sorry if I offended you. Any Foster's fine fans.
If certain things like evoke a smell for you, do you turn on Formula One and just smell Foster's?
Hello, Lee Gilbert. Thanks for tuning in.
What is it now? Is it the race or is it qualifying?
Quali, I think.
Cool. I hope so. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
I'm definitely gonna open a beer after this race.
That new little sausage curb on the right, just after the hairpin in the grandstand, that's quite noticeable.
In Brands Hatch, there.
Sorry,
What did you say?
in Hockenheim, there's a new little sausage curb on the right side, just in one of the last right-handers.
Okay, I thought we were talking about food now.
Spot the Belgian, everyone.
Maybe I can bring the discussion a little bit back to topic. I don't know. But now that we have the opportunity here, is there anything you guys want to announce? What's coming in the near future, or anything you want to or can share that you would like to?
I think the next patches are going to be targeted towards WTCR now that DTM is behind us and hotfix is done. We actually started working on WTCR liveries as they were seen at Zolder, first race of the season.
Yeah.
That means brand new liveries for the Alpha. I don't know how many of you guys have watched WTCR at Zolder, but it's quite nice Team Mulsanne liveries.
Awesome. Are they still white, red, and green, or?
No. You should check it out. It's full red. There is a red Alpha. There is one white with some stars patterns. It's quite cool.
Awesome.
Also, there is a Renault. So that we have to figure out. I think we will have to, because making a car in RaceRoom takes a minimum of 3 months. And this Renault has been a late entry. We actually thought that it would be a Peugeot, and we have the Peugeot from the season. And in the last 2 weeks, it ended up not being a Peugeot and being a Renault. So we have to figure out the license terms. We have to collect the reference and actually build the car. So after the reference has been collected and the agreement has been signed, you have to wait an extra 3 months. So there is no way that you can hold WTCR 2020 esports for so long. So it will have to start with the cars that we already have and the liveries of 2020.
Yeah.
And we will have to release the Renault if the paperwork goes through at a later.
That's also a challenge, isn't it? Working with series and trying to simulate their running seasons, and even, their just started seasons, and sometimes even their upcoming seasons. It's really difficult getting reference material and all that sort of stuff, I would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. absolutely, and everyone is interested to start as soon as possible. And problem is trying to have it understood that it's a long process making a car. It's not just but you take this car and you transform it a bit and it becomes a Renault. It's not how it works. But some people that are not familiar with the game production think like that. So can't you take the livery of that car and put it on this other car?
Yeah.
It's easy. Just copy paste. No, it doesn't work. So yeah, it's always a challenge to manage expectations while also try and deliver as quick as possible to satisfy all the partners and have the car pack or something that is released while it's still relevant. Because you have, especially for WTCR, when it came out in RaceRoom, we had a lot of cars to work on simultaneously, and we had to release it while the season was still actual. So yeah, so that worked. Quite a challenge.
I remember was it the Volkswagen that we basically developed simultaneously with the real car as it was developed in real life?
That was the IDR.
Yeah.
We had it in the game, and Alex was making the physics for it before the car even existed.
Yeah. With some theoretical data projections.
Yeah, that was a tricky one.
Yeah. But you were there at the Nürburgring when the car launched, or when he did his practice laps for the record, right?
Yeah. Marcus and I both went to go and see the unveiling of
awesome.
the car, and watched it run. And I mean, I say the car. There are actually two of them. They had two identical cars there because of the recharge time, basically, and they didn't want to have to waste any time, so they had one car ready to go whilst the other car was charging, and Roman would do a run and come in and make some setup changes that they'd apply to the next car, and then like half an hour later, 20 minutes later, he'd go out in that and then report what needs to be changed, and then they'd do it to the other one, and they'd just have this whole cycle going off like that. It was really cool to see, yeah.
Cool stuff. That's when Marcus did a taxi lap and then threw up, right?
Yes, with Dale, yeah.
Wow.
He went a little bit green.
Still jealous of him being able to get a lap in the Nordschleife. I've never done it. It's on my bucket list for sure.
JF, let's sort it out. Christmas party.
Yeah, I wish.
Nordschleife track day, yeah.
Not up to me. But who knows what next year, what happens next year? Because this year we were supposed to have events in Germany that all got cancelled because of the lockdowns and stuff. But I think whoever visits the Nürburgring from the Sector 3 team can get a taxi lip now. So Georg, just volunteer for some live marshalling at some event at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, I might just do that. Somebody's asking how one would license a track that no longer exists, like Reims in France.
Reims, I don't think you would have to license it per se because it's a public road. I think maybe in some cases I think it still belongs. The rights still belong to, especially in the case of France, to some museums. It's quite hard to track. But you would first have to have a reason to make the track. I don't think it's likely that you find old tracks like Reims in RaceRoom at the moment, because we are so focused on our current partners and stuff. I don't think it's likely that you see such a track in the coming months.
The real challenge is not to license tracks that don't exist anymore. The real challenge is to laser scan tracks that don't exist anymore.
How much fuel go?
I think I'm going with 40. It's probably way too much, but I don't care.
Okay.
The way that you keep asking how much fuel has given me some idea about something.
Well, admittedly, I usually have crew chief telling me, but I turned it off because otherwise I can't hear you.
I mean,
Keeps talking.
we have the estimate in the car setup menu, but it's not always super accurate. But it's a point of reference at least.
Is there no launch control in GT3s?
Nope, I don't think so.
No, rolling starts.
Right.
Porsche starts are amazing.
Woo!
He's closing the door, man. Look in your mirror, dude. Don't think I got an incident point for that contact though, which is great. Small contacts should not give you incident points. Can you guys maybe talk a little bit about plans for ranked multiplayer? Because we have been pushing it a lot lately with weekly and daily races and stuff. Where is this going long term, Jeff?
Yeah, well, ranked multiplayer has been developed step by step. So every time there is a new... Ooh, someone just had a big one here. Every time we updated something, it has a long-term reason. So we started with just having calculations running in the background of all the multiplayer races that happened everywhere. So all the servers were being monitored as a test of our formula, and we refined that in the background, and then we made certain servers able to be ranked. That was the first public step of that. Then the next one was to have the rating actually published somewhere so you can look it up. And then having scheduled races so you could know, because one of the big issues was that you would never know when you could expect a certain race to show up and when to go in the multiplayer lobby to look for a race. So the next step was going to be scheduling, make them start at a certain time, and also making it part of your profile. So that's the current status now. So we have a race on the hour and half past the hour, and a weekly endurance race. We already had two of those, which is quite fun so far. Now the next steps are going to be to have a series, so that you actually score points for the whole week every time you do a race, and we keep the best result depending on you know how high you ranked in the result based on who else you were racing against. So your best result in the best possible field, you beat the highly rated players. Don't know how to word that, it's late, and I think I'm being confusing. But yeah, we keep your best result of the week, and you score points for that.
Right.
It goes against the series. And of course, from that, we also need to implement the sign-ups, so that you know who you're going to race against and how many people you can expect to race against. And with the sign-up, we also need a notification system that says the race is about to start, you should stop whatever you're doing. And then things also like ability to import the starting grid from a leaderboard. This would be so that you can, before the race starts, you just go practice on a time attack and do the fastest lap you can, and then once you land up on the server, we would have the freedom of skipping the qualifying and just importing the lap times of everyone from that leaderboard and building the grid.
Right, so you can qualify ahead of the event and then just jump into like a warm-up session and then the race, right?
As an option. It doesn't mean that all the servers would be like that.
Yeah.
But it would be an option to not have to bother with qualifying. So you actually qualify on a leaderboard for the week, and that will be your qualifying for the full week. Every time you will join a server during that series, you will use that lap time. So you can always go back to that time attack and try and improve it. So there are many things that we need to now build and release.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really sounds promising. Sign-ups and matchmaking and running series with championship points and all that. I think it's exactly what people want, and really looking forward to the point where these features start rolling out.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying, what about servers in South America? I mean, we have some servers in the US and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we do. We have in West Coast America. We are actually open to feedback. I know that it's not optimal for people in Australia. I heard some feedback from our Australian friends that there was a server in California that was better than the one in Oregon that we are using now. So we are free to put those servers wherever we have a host available. So we need to keep optimizing the location of our servers. But for example, we are using Amazon Light Sail for these, and I don't think there are light sail options in Southern America. I think it's East Coast USA and Oregon on the West Coast. That's it.
Yeah. I'm still in love with this GT3 Porsche. Looks great, sounds great, handles great. So you guys watching Le Mans this weekend?
It's hard to believe it's Le Mans, right? It's like October almost. But yeah, I watched a bit of the free practice sessions. I will try and watch Le Mans.
Somebody's saying the M6 is overpowered in GT3. I guess it depends a little bit on the track, but I've seen a lot of people saying that. The good thing is that we can have balance of performance weights on the servers. I don't know if we are using that currently on the BMW in GT3 here.
I honestly can't remember. I think we discussed that, and it was said that on Hockenheim the M6 advantage isn't really there.
Right.
So I don't think I put a weight on it.
Yeah, what else can we still update the community on? We've talked about physics a lot, we have talked about DTM, we've talked about the WTCR cars that are probably coming next soon. When I'm getting overtaken by BMW.
Are there any questions in the chat, Alex? Or I think we're so transparent that no one has a question. Are you sipping a beer?
No, this isn't a beer.
Okay.
I wish.
Looks like one of those British beers, like half warm.
Yeah, it does actually. It looks exactly the same. To be fair. Are there any questions in the server? So, comments. People seem to be saying that it's informative. You've been described as the bearded guy. Another request for Sao Paulo. Another request for Brantac GP from Alex Blob. Get back in your box, Alex. What else? Someone wants alternative layout of the Nordschleife.
We should do a reverse layout, yeah.
Oh, that'd be mad.
You know they raced it in real life in some German rally. It's part of a special stage.
Didn't we have reverse Nordschleife in Racer 7?
I do not remember.
GTR Evo?
Vito is asking us to keep that 2022 formula in mind. Well, one thing is for sure, we're always working on new cars and new tracks. So we'll not run out of new content in RaceRoom in the future.
Someone wants to know. Someone brought up the topic of race starts. I guess they're talking about multiplayer race starts and how that works.
Yeah, we touched about some things that we have in dev at the moment that I cannot promise will be delivered if they prove not to be working and that we just simply don't have the time for that. But we have experimental manual rolling starts procedures, and we have also we are also going to start testing a disabling the prevention of false starts in multiplayer. So we would be able to jump the start if we manage to get that to work. And if you do, you get a penalty.
That'd be cool.
Exactly. But there are things that we don't really understand ourselves because they were done when the game was released in 2013. Like why something like prevent false start, there was a tick box, I remember clearly. There was a tick box in the Racer 7 dedicated server. And it's something that you would expect to find, or I don't know why it was removed. Probably it caused some issues. So we need to it's all things that we try and unearth from the code and see if it works and how hard it is to make it work again. So yeah, we always try and improve the game with small bits like this.
Almost got punted right there. Maybe for the people that have missed it in the beginning of the stream, but maybe Alex, you can sum up one more time what people should consider when they're driving the new DTM cars, coming from driving GT3 cars or coming from driving the older DTM cars. You can just give a few driving tips. I think people would appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good thing to bring back up again. So the big thing is that compared to the old DTM cars, compared to the GT3 cars, that they don't have tyre warmers, which is a really big factor because it means that, especially the very first time you drive it, or you test drive it, or something along those lines, you've got like quite a big grip deficit that you've got to just bear in mind straight away. So it's best not to just press drive, go storming out the pit lane, because most likely you'll have a bit of a whoopsie in the first turn. So just take it easy to begin with, and just give yourself a bit of time. In two ways, give yourself a bit of time straight away with the cold tyres. If you flick the data display so you can actually see the temperature of the tyres, once they start to get up to mid 70 degrees Celsius, then they're like pretty close to the operating range. So just sort of keep an eye on that. And also, they're quite different cars, really. Well, they are very different cars to the GT3s. The way that I've been thinking about these DTM cars is a bit like a front-engine LMP car, really, because they're almost as quick. Like the pole time for the DTM cars at Spa this year was like faster than all of the P2s did in the 1000k race. So they're that quick. It's crazy.
Isn't it exactly like almost an LMP car under the body, like the chassis itself and the all the downforce from the diffuser and everything? Isn't that like under the body a prototype car?
Yeah, sure. To be honest, in more ways, it's more advanced than an LMP car because it's less restrictive in the rules. So they've actually got more downforce than LMP2. And then the other thing that the drivers need to watch out for is there's no traction control, there's no ABS, but of course you can turn it on if you want to, just to give yourself a little bit of a helping hand to get yourself used to the car. And the power to weight ratio is way above that of a GT3. It's it's nearly 600 horsepower and just over 1,000 kilos. And a GT3 with about the same amount of power would be like 400 kilos heavier. So it's way quicker in accelerating. That's why they can be a bit tricky at the slow turns, because they just set off like a rocket, and they got so much torque and so much power. It's quite easy to spin the wheels up, and there's not that much weight holding them down at low speed. So you've just got to watch out for that. What else? How about you, JF? What have you found like that you had to get used to most with these cars?
Well, definitely the temperatures of the tires. Once they are up to temp, it's okay. I can drive them, no problem. But I keep getting caught by the cold tires when I get out of the pit lane, because I'm so used to driving DTM in RaceRoom with preheated tires. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would expect players or players who are familiar with the former DTM seasons in RaceRoom to be struggling with, because it affects the power delivery as well, because you will have even more trouble coming out of corners with cold tires. So yeah, definitely.
And do you find that there's so much power? It can kind of, you might think, oh, well, maybe I'll just do some burnouts and it'll get some heat in the tires. But there's so much power that it's pretty tricky to just do a burnout.
Yeah,
it just ends up a spin.
Yeah, sometimes you're surprised, but not as much as in the beginning. In the beginning of the development of those cars, we had the engine matching the dyno numbers that we were given, and your engine curve was like a vertical line. Like suddenly all the torque was there. That was a handful. But then we got some new information about the power delivery, and you managed to tweak that more in line with the driver feedback. So that was that made the car more accessible with the torque delivery.
I just realized you guys both have drag drive wheels, and I'm here with my consumer wheel with my Thrustmaster. I think it's time for an upgrade.
I would advise Fanatec DD2. It's
Yeah.
best.
So somebody was asking about playmates for the DTM 95, 2003, 2005. I think we said it earlier already that when we licensed those cars, it was specifically for a Mercedes competition, so we didn't license any other cars. I don't know if it's likely to happen in the future.
It's not impossible. because maybe with the relationship with DTM, maybe they are able to provide us with some licenses that we were not able to obtain. So it might be, I don't want to sound too promising again, but it might be that in the future we get to do past seasons of DTM. So yeah, maybe.
If I was
That
the
would be
DTM,
so cool.
if I was the DTM, and next year might be like a year of, where they don't run, maybe, or maybe they do run next year. Who knows what happens now when Audi leaves? But I would do an esports championship with their historic season, like best of DTM esports season.
Or bring back all those cars from museums and race them.
DTM Classic, yeah, that would be something.
Oh, that stuff's so cool. Like the Calibras and the Alphas and there's just so much cool stuff.
Well, we have one really cool car in the making, or at least the rights to do it, Jeff. If you know what I'm talking about, you don't have to say which one, but one that.
Is this the 2CV again?
Which 2CV? No. But a historic touring car that is pretty interesting.
Yes. Yes. Sadly, it would come on its own at the beginning, because we have like opportunities to make certain cars, but then we have to get busy on that and get busy on other stuff, and we are failing to be able to chase the licenses and build all the cars of a certain era that would go with that car. So it's a time constraint. We have to make the car that we were ordered to do, and potentially, if we have time later, chase the other ones and get them done.
Yeah.
But
I'm
as you know,
just saying, even by itself,
so
it will be a kind of cool car. But of course, it's a luxury
would
problem.
definitely. Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I know how the viewers all feel now.
I'm pretty sure you know. You should know. I'll tell you later. Anyway, any other touring cars in the works? Is asking Vitor. Well, yes. A pretty unconventional one, but I don't know if we can go into detail. Probably not on that. I don't know. Again,
Is it a touring car? Yeah, I guess it is.
I don't know if you're talking about the same one, but probably yes. The one where we had an extended session with a real race driver recently.
Yeah, a quiet car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see which one you mean.
It's a touring car, of course it is.
Yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. More touring car. We love touring cars. It's in our blood.
I think
from the Racer 7 days.
Yeah. There aren't any other sims that do touring car specific stuff better than us.
Actually, in your chat there is Jew Racing who says the old cars, the old DTM cars are raced in a series called Tourenwagen Classic.
That is correct, yeah.
Is that part of DTM? Is that part of ITR?
They have been support series for the DTM. I don't know about this year, but I remember last year seeing some races.
How about Tourenwagen Esport Classic? That would be nice.
Well, we've done it. We've done it with Mercedes already.
Yeah, but global one.
Yeah. The BTCC, yeah. Well, yes, Sergey, yes, you know that one was licensed by Motorsport Games, and they're making a BTCC game. So we'll have to see what that is going to be. But I think we have touring cars covered really well already in RaceRoom with the WTCR, and I think recently a new class has appeared, right, Jeff, in the game that is called TC Cup.
Yeah, TC Cup is for, as you know, we have the WTCR series as a partner, and sometimes for some side events like with Cupra, with Sion Racing, Link & Co, and with ladder, we get to make extra cars that are not yet in WTCR series. So we had to find a place to have them in the game, and that's why we have the TC Touring Cars Cup car class. It's not TCR, but it's the TCR cars that we got to do on the side, and one of them is has been made free to play.
That's right.
Recently.
The ladder is now free in that class for everybody
Yeah.
to drive.
And I'm told it's a bit overpowered. So
To slow it down.
apparently we need to bump it. And there is no roof camera on the ladder, someone says in the chat.
I might need to look into that. I'll take a note somewhere in my mental notepad. Somebody's saying network plays broken, telling me to download. I don't know, maybe you're trying to join a server that you don't own the content of, or you have another problem. But it's generally speaking, it's working. Yeah, I think it's we're getting close to wrapping this stream up, guys. But
I think we spoke about so much.
we did.
We said so many things we shouldn't have said.
People will hold us accountable for.
Yeah.
No, but many things are in the working, and we will deliver everything as soon as we can. It's not always going as fast as we want, but it will always be worth in the end.
Yeah.
Plans for performance improvements. Well, in my opinion, on my system, R3 out of all the sims I own runs the best. So I don't know if that's really. I mean, of course, there's always room for improvement, but
Just broke just broke a nub here.
oh god, shiny golden knob.
Yeah.
Well, maybe as a final question, general question. If you had the choice of any car you could put into RaceRoom, which car would that be? Start with Alex.
Wow. My car. Yes.
That's-
I'm going there.
That's a good answer, yeah. And Jeff?
That would be a Ford Escort Mark II.
That is it a Group A car or
The best looking car in my opinion.
is it like Group A or Group 4 or whatever those?
Oof, can't even remember what group it raced in. I want to believe that it was in Group 2.
Oh, okay, now I know which one you mean, yeah. Cool. People are saying Porsche 917. It's also a nice car, but I'm with Jeff on the point that a car by itself is cool, but doesn't really add so much to the sim. That's why, of course, we're hoping to add more cars to the classes that have only one so far. But we'll it's always on our list to expand those classes. Alright guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up unless there's any more questions coming in, but I don't see that at the moment. So I would like to thank Jeff and Alex for joining me today. I think it was really fun. I hope you guys had fun in the chat as well. And we got most of your questions answered. Make sure you follow Alex on his YouTube channel, link in the description. Jeff has a Twitch where he sometimes streams. And join the RaceRoom Discord, so you can always be in touch with the community and the devs. That is discord.gg/RaceRoom. And of course, subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and then we will see you guys. Maybe we'll do this again sometime in the future if you guys are up for it. And if the community is interested, let us know. We might do this again, and we'll do some more racing with you and talking about things RaceRoom. So that will be a wrap up. Thanks guys for watching, and see you again soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.